Today I want to go over the Encyclopaedia Britannica, 11th edition, 1910. I'm going to demonstrate how this is one of the 7 ports of the Moors and is connected with the flag of Portugal, which has the 5 shields and a cross symbolizing Afonso's defeat over the 5 Moorish kings, and the 7 castles on the flag symbolizing the 7 ports of commerce, rivalry with Portugal. The 10 years that elapsed between the Battle of Swally in 1612 and the British capture of Hormuz in 1622. So since the 1600s, they've had control over this Hormuz. Suffice to decide the issue in the struggle for supremacy between the British and the Portuguese. Now remember, the Portugal flag, they're connected with Spanish Inquisition of the Moors, and their flag to this day has the 5 shields symbolizing the defeat of the 5 Moorish kings, the latter unwillingly linked to the dying power of Spain, and that's Spain with Cortez going into Oaxaca, Mexico with the Cristeros, the Knights of Columbus, were already decadent, and on the 20th of January 1615, a great Portuguese armada consisting of 6 great galleons, 3 smaller ships, 2 galleys, and 60-rowed barges was defeated for the second time in Swally Roads by Captain Nicholas Downton, in command of 4 British vessels. In 1618, the English opened trade between Surat and Jask in the Persian Gulf, and in 1620 gained a victory over the Portuguese fleet there. Early in 1622, the English fleet gained a second decisive victory and captured Hormuz. So we already have the British capturing Hormuz, then you have the English gaining victory over Portuguese fleet there. And in 1622, the English fleet gained a second decisive victory and captured Hormuz, the pearl of the Portuguese possessions in Asia. From this day onwards, India and the Persian Gulf lay open to the English as far as Portugal was concerned. And before Portugal broke loose from Spain in 1640, her supremacy in Asiatic seas, I repeat, Asiatic seas, which are the Moors, was hopelessly lost. In 1642, she partially, and in 1654, finally accepted the situation and opened all her eastern possessions to English trade. So at first you would think, what does United States have to do with this? We have a 2-part demonstration with the Portugal flag, as I said before, but connected with the United States. Morocco was the first to recognize United States. But before that, Portugal gave them a de facto recognition. Portugal and United States went to Morocco and was refused to be recognized with their credentials by the Moorish government. And then the Moors finally recognized them to be able to come to the ports and do commerce, but have to give tariffs and only can come to the port within 2 miles of the land, and they must be accompanied by a Moorish guard. These are documented facts that's been read. But again, that's why U.S. is doing what they're doing today, acting in tariffs and trying to take over this Strait of Hormuz, a de facto Moorish administration, when the Moors are supposed to be receiving this. But the people that are in Hormuz right now, you're like, well, United States is taking over what you call the Aboriginal indigenous. No, these has been foreigners since the 1600s and probably before. It said the British, the English, and Portugal, and the Portugal Spanish Inquisition against the Moorish Empire. It is on their flag to this day. When Moors look at the Portugal flag, they should feel disrespected. I already read it. A silver shield bearing 5 smaller blue shields, arranged in the form of a cross. These signify the victory of the Christian King Afonso over the Moorish chieftains, the 5. A red border around the large shield was added by Afonso III on his marriage to the Princess of Castile, and that ties with Ferdinand, Isabella, then Columbus and Cortez coming to the Oaxaca, Mexico with their Spanish Inquisition taking over the Moors. You have the Cristeros in South America, which are the Knights of Columbus. Again, a silver shield bearing 5 smaller blue shields arranged in the form of a cross. These signify the victory of the Christian King Afonso over the 5 Moorish chieftains. And to this day, they fly this flag. And you see the 7 castles behind them that are the 7 canals of commerce. The colors are red and green. 1/3 of the flag nearest the staff is green. The rest is a vivid red. Exactly where the 2 colors join is the coat of arms of the kingdom. And this is celebrating the victory over the 5 Moorish chieftains. And this is not what I say. This is not what I made up. This is not AI. This is a very old newspaper clip. And it's showing you that to this day, they are celebrating the victory over the Moors. And they're directly connected with United States. We have the reading where Portugal went to the islands in the 1800s and United States left the North America territory and stayed down there with Portugal. They did not have any recognition. It was de facto until Morocco allowed them to have some commerce, but they had to pay their tariffs. They could not go no further than 2 miles to get their refreshments on the land, and they had to be accompanied by a Moorish guard. You know, I'm not teaching you anything. I'm just studying, wanting to know. I keep hearing about this Strait of Hormuz and tariffs and all this in United States. That's connected with Portugal. They've been on their heels since the beginning. And to this day, they are doing Spanish inquisitions, whether they want to call it New Spain or whatever. These are colonization operations against the Moors' inheritance. They're hereditamates. They're usurping their resources and their commerce, their ports, all of it. Very potent. I'll play part 1 and 2 of the Portugal connection with United States with their de facto recognition. I haven't seen this clip shared to any Moors. They're walking by this Portugal flag not even knowing that it's celebrating the defeat and murder of their ancestors. I have a lot more regarding this demonstration that I would like to put up, but these devices are old and I only have a limit of time indeed. One of my devices with the Library of Congress and the archives.com, I am not able to access those sites anymore because they said that I have scraped their servers. So I'm denied access to archives.com and Library of Congress again because they said that I have scraped their servers, which means I went through there studying and put it out to the masses. But I can't access them no longer on one of my devices because they said I have scraped their servers. Scraped it like a plate. Do you hear that? You know, about 10 years ago, people who put out this information, you know, being scared of somebody trying to do something to them. Back in the days, I had no reservation on putting out this information because I knew there was people looking out for me. If I disappeared, they contact me. But in these days, if I disappear for years, people will not search for me and I could be at the bottom of an ocean and people still ain't looking for me. You know what I'm saying? So it's getting a little sketchy because this information right here is potent and dangerous to people who want to try to keep the masses asleep. Bottom line conclusion, I feel everything that's going on with this Hormuz, yes, they're usurping the Moorish inheritance, but they're making a stage for the world to see when that land has already been taken over. So they are making a world stage and making acts and movies out of this stuff. But again, 10 years ago, I wouldn't worry about it because Moors and other brothers and sisters was looking out for me. In these days, nah, I disappear. Nobody say nothing to me forever. But we'll play the clip. Love and peace. The military order of the Order of Christ with the express purpose of advancing the crusade against Islam. So we will be breaking down U.S. history in regards to the Order of Christ and the Holy War against Islam. The king's establishment of a new military order, the Order of Christ, 1319, with the express purpose of advancing the crusade against Islam. We're speaking of the Holy War. So with this Order of Christ, what does the United States have to do with Portugal and the Order of the Christ fighting against Islam in the Holy War? Well, let's see. A Guide to the United States History of Recognition, Diplomatic and Consular Relations by Country since 1776, Portugal. Summary. Portugal was the first neutral nation to establish diplomatic ties with the United States. Stop. We know that Morocco and the Moors was the first nation to recognize the United States. However, this is a back door because I'm going to show you in a minute in the newspaper where it says the Moorish authorities did not recognize this. The two countries have maintained positive relations since 1791 and share strong defense ties. Portugal is a member of the European Union and NATO. See, we're going to get into this NATO in a little bit too. Recognition. Portuguese recognition of U.S. independence 1791. The Portuguese government suggested in early 1791 that Lisbon and Washington exchanged permanent diplomatic missions, indicating a de facto recognition of the United States. Now here we go. De facto, and that's how they're running to this day. However, Portugal did not officially recognize the United States until it accepted the credentials of U.S. Minister David Humphrey on May 13, 1791. As you see, this has been up since January 7th on the IG. Y'all are sleeping and need to study. United States-Portugal bilateral ties date from the earliest years of the United States when Portugal recognized the United States in 1791 following the Revolutionary War. The oldest continuously operating U.S. consulate in the world is located in Ponta Delgada. Now we're fine. This is where the base of the U.S. really is, on the island of São Miguel in the Azores. Now keep in mind about this island. Contributing to the strong ties between the United States and Portugal are the presence of sizable Portuguese communities in Massachusetts, Rhode Island, New Jersey, California, and Hawaii. Now here we get into the slavery turned into business. The United States' commitment to Portugal is enduring precisely because it is two-way. 70 years ago, from the ashes of global devastation and genocide, the United States and Portugal became charter members of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO, along with the EU, IMF, and World Bank. So they're all put together for this slavery and fight against Islam by the Order of Christ. And the United Nations, now led by a Portuguese, were established to resolve challenges that no single nation or group would overcome on its own. Through our collaborations in these forums, the United States and Portugal have contributed to transatlantic unity. Is it really unity, or is it unity to fight against Islam and the Moors? From the very beginning. Now listen to this. During the Napoleonic Wars, the King of Portugal fled to Brazil. The U.S. legation followed and was located there from 1810 to 1821. It closed in 1821. So what closed? The U.S. legation? U.S. legation returns to Lisbon 1822. In 1822, the U.S. legation returned to Lisbon along with the King of Portugal. They're on their coattails, man. And they started this Order of the Christ. So they're guilty by association, if anything. Where it has since remained, Henry Dearborn Sr. was appointed U.S. envoy to Portugal on May 7, 1822, and arrived at Lisbon before August 16th, but did not report a date of presentation of credentials, so they was not recognized and they're in de facto. The U.S. legation in Lisbon became an embassy in 1944 when Henry Norwood presented his new credentials to Lisbon after he was promoted from minister to ambassador. So it's proven that this is de facto and not recognized by the Moorish Empire or the Moorish government. So here we go. United States and Portuguese consuls not recognized at Fez. Tangier, February 24th, Senator Rizzo. The new Portuguese consul appointed to represent that country at Fez and who also claims authority to represent the United States in a consular capacity has presented his credentials to the Moorish government at Fez. The Moorish authorities rudely refused to recognize him and declined to grant him a residence in the capital on the ground that foreign agents were only allowed to reside at the Moorish ports. They was allowing us to do commerce and get the things we needed. We had a good deal, man, but we had to just push and push, man, and be greedy. I'm not going to keep you much longer, brothers and sisters. I just wanted to come with the hammer of truth. But when I do, best believe I'm coming with information. We need our nationality. We need the knowledge and knowing that some of these people who are in these government seats are actually here to usurp us and socially absorb us. Because we don't have a nationality, they're really violating us.